Are you looking for ways to change up some of those favorite block patterns that you have? Well, join me today at my cutting table and we will discuss on how to make those blocks that you love into something even more exciting. Hi, I'm Roberta from Quilt Crafters Corner, and today I want to talk about taking those favorite block patterns that you have and just changing them just a little bit with either fabric or color to make something more exciting for you to work with. So let's go over to the cutting table and let's talk about this. Now, I found this pattern. It's called Solstice Stars, and it was something that was done way back in 2012. And the reason why it caught my eye is because I've been looking for some unique star patterns to put around a panel to make it bigger. Actually, a couple of panels that I have to make them bigger. And I needed something that I could change and develop into something more unique. So let's take a look at this. This was the original concept, which was fabric and white as the background. And now this is very pretty and it would look really lovely in a quilt. I needed something more to almost bring out the background of the stars. So I went with the dark blue, thinking that this would look really nice up against the panels, and I wanted something more star-shaped. So I did this one. Now I'm thinking, let's change this even a little bit more. Let's put something either in the center. I could do a 4-patch in the center. I could do an hourglass pattern in the center and just give this star a little bit more of a unique point to it. The other thing that I really like about this is I can change these background colors. Like I did here, I changed the background colors there just to see what it would do, just to see if it would give it a different look. So there's a lot of things that you can do in changing your background colors and something to accentuate your block. So these are some of the interesting things that I like playing with and experimenting with when I put blocks together. So I'm going to show you how to put this block together only because it's a unique pattern and there's some interesting points to it. So let's get started. Now this block starts with an on-point center. And she has it called to put a frame around your center. Now she has it where you cut the pieces. I'm going to show you how to do a partial seam in order to get this same effect. Now when I originally laid this out, this was the idea that I had. And let me get this all laid out for you. Oops. Okay, when I first laid this out, I thought, okay, that I was okay with this dark purple, but now once I got all my other pieces laid out and in here, I wasn't nearly as excited about it. And this is what I'm talking about. Some of this stuff just needs to be a matter of trial and error and cut pieces and see what looks good and what doesn't, and what you like and what you don't like. So now that I've got this laid out, let me show you what I mean once I get this laid out, because this is where the block starts to change when you start laying out the rest of your pieces. Now there's some real funky measurements in this, and she did that in order to get this to be a 12.5-inch unfinished block and a 12-inch finished block into the pattern. So the center square is 4 1/8. So when you're doing that, make sure you have a good measurement where you have your 1/8 of an inch to cut out. It's really important that you get it correct. So now that I've got my star points in, you can see my dilemma about the purple. I just didn't like it nearly as well. So in doing that, I decided, okay, let's take that out. And let's try a different color. So I've got some different colors here. I've got this blue. Actually, it's more of a blue-gray. And I thought, okay, well, that doesn't look bad, but I'm looking at it real close and it screams at you too much. It just is telling you, no, 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 that doesn't look right. So I took that out. And this, like I said, this is just really a lot of trial and error. And then I put this one in. And this one I'm much, much happier with because I think it just is enough to frame it. It kind of complements my orange here a little bit better, and it gives your center square that nice frame. And this is what I'm talking about. I could totally change that center square into something different. Like I said, it could change to any color. But I just want to give you an idea of how to play with these pieces and colors and start getting ideas and changing these blocks into your own creation, your own design. It's amazing once you start playing with color and with fabric. I mean, a textured fabric might look really nice in this. It will give the star a whole different look. Okay, that being said, let's start putting this together. Now this, in order to do your center block, you need to do partial seams. If you've never done a partial seam before, let me go do one and I will show you what I mean. Okay, so here's my partial seam, and what I've done is I've just sewn halfway into my square, and this is open. Now the reason why I've done that is because now it creates a place and a space for this piece. So let me go sew that piece on. All right, so now we have 1 1/2 done, so we're going to put our next one on. And as you can see, this is just creating a place to put the next one. It just gives you that extra edge to put your next one down. All right, and now we're just going to add our last one. And it's just going to go right here on this edge. And now I just need to finish this partial seam, and I'll just start from here and sew to there. Okay, so my center block is all finished and it's ready to go. So now I just need to start working on my outer edges. And now these are sewn together in units like so. Now these are 3 5/8 by 3 5/8, just cut in half, and one on each side of your 4 1/2 inch block, and these are 4 1/2 inch blocks. So in order to get these points in the center, what I do is I just put a crease in my center fold, and then I do it again, and I get a nice little crease there going both ways. So now I have something to aim my point at. So I will take my thing and just line my point up on those creases, right there on the creases, and then that way you've got, you're centered. You know that this is centered, and so I'll take this to the machine and I'll just sew this down. Okay, so here's my first one, and now I've got this little tab sticking up there, and I always cut those off because otherwise they just get in the way and you don't get a nice seam right there on that edge. So just cut those little tabs off. Now I'm going to line up my second one with my mark that I made, my registration mark that I made. And I'm just going to line my center point up with that. And now I can just go and sew this one down. And I'm going to start up here in this corner where my two fabrics are making my X or my V, and I'm going to start there and sew across. Okay, once again, you can see I have that little dog ear or tab, whatever you want to call it, and I'll just trim that off. Because once I start adding these pieces, and then I also do the ones on my side too, I just trim those off. That way they're out of the way. You don't have to worry about them then, and you know your seams will go together good. Okay, so there's my first unit. So I'm going to finish up my other 3 units. Okay, now I'm going to take my 2 end units and fold them over and put them on my center. Now on the back here, you can see this lovely little X here. There's an X there, and you want to take your seam and sew right through that X in order for this to not lose this point on the other side. Okay, so now that I've got this side sewn on and I've got my seam is pressed towards the inside to my frame. So I'm going to do the same with this one. All right, now the last thing I need to do is I need to attach these to this side because this is going to go on as a diagonal. Both of them are going to go on that way. So I will just take these to the machine and just sew these down. And make sure you get them straight. All right, now we're going to put the last 2 on, and then I'll sew my 2 sides on. Okay, so there's my star. Now, as you can see, I've changed the colors. I've played with the colors. I encourage you to go and find different things to work with. Change things around. Start experimenting not only with fabric, but with color. And take those favorite patterns that you have and change them just a little bit. And just keep developing this skill to change them. It's easier to do when you're in a group of people or a community of quilters that like to play with fabric and colors and change things around. You get some really wonderful ideas from other people. So I hope you go and experiment with this. Play with some block patterns that you like and change things around and just make them a little bit more your own. These are just some ideas I want to give to you so that you don't keep making the same pattern over and over and over again. So I want to thank you for watching. And if you haven't liked the video, please like the video. And until next time, keep quilting.